You are listening and watching to a very special podcast. Here we have more Katrina Salvatore. Enjoy. That callous professor. He seemed to be sick in the head. He went by the name of Torben Vanes, and he seemed to be quite callous as dirge. He was very fascinating in these experiments. Just then there was a rap at the door, a knock, and a woman came in with her hand over her stomach. "Torben? Darling, what's going on?" she said.
Damn it, I thought I told you to stay out there.
"What is..." The infestation babies growled and snarled and snapped their teeth. The woman backed away in horror. Professor Vanes came forward, trying to comfort his wife, but he had some sort of maliciousness in his eyes. He looked down at her stomach with a sick look, a dirty look on his face as he looked down at her belly. This made Katrina realize, oh my God, he's a child predator, an offender towards children. He's planning on, she thought to herself. Her eyes bulged in terror. Oh my, he's sick. When this child is born, he's going to violate it. Oh my God. That's when a sultry, pretty voice said to the woman, "Yes, darling. He's been lying to you for a long time. These babies are used to be made for." The woman looked up confused. Professor Vanes stepped back.
No, it's you.
"Yes, don't you remember me?" a woman said. Ben froze. He turned and he pointed.
My God, it's you.
Taylor looked over, and his eyes grew large. He could not believe. There was a beautiful woman with long, long hair. It was all untidy, but she looked radiant, wearing a flower crown, wearing a long flowing dress. She looked like a princess. Vines and flowers were in her hair. She looked stunning.
She's beautiful. She may look beautiful, but she's not,
Ben said to Taylor. "Hello, Torben. I missed you." That's when four other young girls who were sisters came forth. "Yes, Torben. It's so nice to see you again." Katrina looked terrified. "Who are they?" she asked.
Rosemary? Pansy? Collie? Rue? Ophelia?
The woman, Ophelia, came forth. "Oh, Torben, aren't you a little afraid? Don't you want to give my little girls a hug to your Uncle Torben?" Torben just looked terrified. His wife was concerned. "Darling, what are they talking about?"
It's nothing. It's something.
"Mrs. Vanes, you mean your husband never told you?" "It's because of him. He's known to be a predatorial, disgusting of a man. He violated my little girls, Ophelia said. Mrs. Vanes looked at her husband. She was never told of these intentions. Honey?
Darling, I can explain, please.
That's when Ophelia put her hands on Mrs. Vanes' temples of her forehead. Mrs. Vanes looked in shock, and all of a sudden, Ophelia whispered, saying, I know you want a child. I don't blame you. But I don't think he would be the perfect father. You get to keep your little baby, but it's Torben that must die. My daughters, Rosemary, curtsy, with pleasure, Mother. Torben was about to leave. He was grabbed from behind when all of a sudden he felt himself being dangled up in the air. All of a sudden he began to convulse in midair. He could feel his whole body pulsating, writhing, and then he stopped. And then he exploded in such a gory manner. Mrs. Vanes let out a scream and began to cry. Ben and Taylor watched in horror.
I don't believe it,
Taylor rasped. This made Ben touch his friend's shoulder.
I'm sorry you had to see that. Who are these girls? I already told you. These are the ones I mentioned. What?
Dirge was enraged.
How dare you? You idiotic young girls. I'll teach you a lesson,
Dirge said. He grabbed Pansy, the second oldest, and he was about to strike at her. Taylor shut up and stopped him, protecting Pansy.
Your partner here is not letting me finish the blow. Please, don't hurt her. She's just a little girl. She's a malicious little girl. Leave her alone, please.
Taylor begged. Pansy looked at Taylor in surprise. Taylor knocked Dirge away, who just stumbled until he caught himself, but nearly slipped again, but he managed to hold on to the autopsy table. Taylor gathered Pansy in his arms.
Don't worry, I'm not gonna let anyone hurt you.
Pansy looked at him in surprise. Why? Why are you being nice? You mean, you're just like... Oh, that's so sweet. Ben groaned.
Taylor, what? I'm not gonna let anyone... That is the biggest mistake you have made,
Ben claimed.
What do you mean? What did I do? You mean you don't know? You made the biggest mistake of protecting one of the most deadliest young ladies. Now you're going to pay for it, and these people are going to do a lot of crazy things. This is not your average family,
Ben said. Pansy put her arms around him. Oh, thank you. You helped me. Now it'll be my turn. Rosemary, sister. I think maybe we should give them our gratitude. I do believe you're right.
What? It's alright. I didn't...
No, we insist.
They turned to the infestation babies. All of a sudden, there was a lot of neck cracking, a lot of whimpers, a lot of cries that were muffled. There were shadows of the little infant infestations as their limbs were trying to kick and thrash, but they became lifeless. Katrina looked like she was going to faint. Pansy then giggled.
You helped me, and this is our way of showing our appreciation. Anything else? I think that's good for now, sister. But don't worry. I guess this nice young man here is in the same league as you, isn't it?
The two sisters began to giggle. The younger ones giggled too, but it sounded a little off-key, like this. Even Ophelia giggled.
See, Benjamin, you don't belong here. You really don't.
You belong outside with your own criteria, and none of these people match to it. Not even one single swoop. Come, my daughters. We have more that awaits for us. Then they all turned and left. Mrs. Vanes then clutched at her belly, the one of her child, as she began huffing and puffing. Katrina came over to her side. She managed to gulp whatever bile was rising up in her throat. Once Mrs. Vanes was rushed to the hospital, and also the body of Professor Torben Vanes was disposed and got rid of. The blood was cleaned up, and Katrina felt dazed. Ben looked over at her. You all right? Yeah, I feel fine, Katrina said. She walked over to a garbage can right in the other side of the room. She put her head and then... She kept throwing up until her stomach couldn't take it. Taylor winced. This wasn't fun for someone who experienced this. Ben came over to Katrina. He put his hand on her back, patting her and saying in a hushed tone, "It's all right. It's..." God, what the hell did I just see? And then she wobbled backwards and nearly fell until Ben caught her. That's it for now, but don't worry, we got more coming your way. I'm Catherine Donovan, and I'll see you next time. Bye.